Hey guys, Paul McLean here. Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Podcast, and excited that you joined this morning. I hope this serves you and serves you well. I've got two of the industry's icons and legends here today that have built one of the the biggest IMO in the entire nation, and somebody that's also built within the IMO, one of the largest IMOs in an IMO in the entire nation. That's a beautiful thing, trying to live about this industry. So, if you guys could welcome Sean Mike.
Thank you, Paul. That was a tongue twister. IMO inside an IMO inside IMO.
Well, they do. The thing about that is this: when I started with Family First Life, that's how I saw it. It was like to be able to create an IMO where you could grow to the size, and the comp level and everything that you had was like your own IMO, but you got the same benefit.
Let me be clear, Paul. That's the only reason you joined us.
That is true.
Well, I think, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the reality is that I think that's the way it should be. I think the way you looked at it was, I already been in the business for X amount of years. I already worked for somebody else. I had an agency that I had no control over, and I wasn't looking to go down that path again. Like, you wanted to be able to kind of run your own deal. And my deal was like, dude, you're going to run your own deal. Believe me, like, we have no contractual relationship. You're going to completely run your own deal, and you're going to make it be whatever you want to make it be.
Well, I appreciate you for doing that, man. And I think that's probably a big reason why we've had such a high retention, is people really running their own business and at a level where they're an IMO, but they don't have to give up all the benefits of being a part of an IMO with the training, the systems, the support, a lot of other people killing it, and that you can kind of glean from and grab things from. And so it's like a blend. It's a perfect world to explode this thing,
Well, I think also, the biggest testament early on was a lot of people making a hell of a lot more money that worked with us than the IMO.
Yeah, I appreciate for that.
So I was like, dude, I mean, you want to switch? I'll switch with you tomorrow if you want, So that's the way it's supposed to be,
Hey, do you remember what you told me when I first went to? You had, I don't know what you called it at that time. We just got together, it's just some of us at the corporate office. And I walked in, I'm like, dude, this is the corporate office. Do you remember what you told me when I asked you? Like,
I told a lot of people, this is the corporate office, but I can get a better one if I lower your comp.
Dude, I remember you telling me that. I'm like, no, I like this.
And I was like, dude, seriously, that'd be a good idea. You're magically going to go from a 140 to what everybody else pays you, 110, and you'll be happy. So we'll get a big office if you want.
Power of perspective. The moment you said that was the best looking office I'd ever seen.
That was right. It was good $1,400 a month and 1,200 square feet.
Was that the one behind the bar with no heat in Connecticut?
No, that was the very first office. Well, it's funny. The very first office was in Oakdale, Connecticut, and it was adjacent to a bar. It was maybe 450 square feet, maybe. No heat. And I'll never forget, people would come in for an interview, and they'd go, well, I expect it to be, so I go, that's part of our test. If you can't handle the winter with no heat, we can't recruit you. Like, we can't have you here. Some people didn't find it funny, they left. Yeah, that's where we started. But, I had better things to put my money into, as opposed to like window dressing, this some ridiculous office in some great area. That was $350 a month.
That's crazy, man.
2009.
Hey, so can you kind of tie that in? And I want to have Andrew kind of touch upon this too, because I think he did such a phenomenal job. I watched him like just place the money in the right spot, because I think early on, when you're in an infantry, just a baby form of the business, like where you place it matters even more than it does maybe necessarily as you grow to higher levels. But you were so intentional with like not caring what anybody thought, and you just wanted to grow the business. You would do it at all cost, and you placed it in the right areas. And the whole concept of a little bit on a lot became a lot, and now you've got a lot of people also wealthy with you, which is what it's all about, is to watch other people win. And so, can you kind of talk about like the power of that, of how you just like continue to stay disciplined in placing the money where it would have the best return, not necessarily where you thought would be the most enjoyable place to place it?
Well, I think the first thing was everything was always about growing the issue paid life volume, everything. And I think a lot of the people that were working with us at the time, that wasn't their focus. They were so busy being busy. So for me, Paul, it was purely anything we could throw at issue paid life volume to help her grow, we would. If that was leads for agents, if that was traveling, if that was recruiting resources, if that was staffing. But also, Paul made a lot of mistakes with where we put the money. But I didn't see, I put all my money in. And then a lot of people don't. And that's part of the whole concept of, I watched people in business fail in the first 2 years. And a lot of times they failed because they didn't reinvest in the business. And I wasn't going to make that mistake. I knew we had a great business model. I knew it was a great industry to be in. So why would I not pour back in? And I think the reason we outgrew it, buddy Paul, is, and I think no different than Andrew. I think Andrew spent a little bit of time early on where he wasn't doing that. And then I think he made the decision to do it. And then he invested more than the rest of you guys did. In fairness, I think you guys were, it's kind of like I always just use the analogy, you're a bunch of squirrels, with acorns for the winter. Like, savings accounts are for broke people. Like, wealthy people don't put their money in the savings account in the bank or a checking account for that matter. Like, I was never trying to accumulate X amount of dollars in my savings or checking account. I just wanted to buy time, buy freedom, buy a result. That's all I wanted to do. So.
Well, dude, I saw you do it, and then I witnessed it with Andrew. I mean, I think he was one of the best ones at doing it. So I started in the business at 19. Andrew was 18. And now, dude, it's crazy to think about, like, it's been almost 15 years. Like, we've almost been doing this for a longer part of our life than we've not been doing it. And I remember, building this thing and watching your discipline and putting it back in the right spots. Do you remember when I used to go to your house and dude, you were doing pretty well then too, and you had no carpet in your house? It was just concrete. Mm-hmm. It looked like a prison cell. And I'd be like, dude, what do you tell the girls? Because this is back when you were single. I was like, what do you tell the girls when they come over and it's just like there's no carpet? Do you remember you told them?
Yeah, I'm just remodeling.
I remember. Do you remember what you said when I was like, dude, what do you say like a year later when it's still like that?
It's a nice remodel coming soon.
Dude, but it was just, but you had like 5 staffs within the house, and you were just building it, dude, and putting it all back in. Nothing else mattered. Can you talk about like the payoff of delayed gratification and how much better it is?
So a few things. I worked at the grocery store before selling insurance. I was still able to save money, making $8 an hour, but I did live with my mom at that point in time. But I had saved like a few $1,000s. And when I got started with selling insurance, I didn't want to spend that money. And I always ask a lot of people that don't want to invest or can't invest in leads to get started. I always ask them, is it that you can't, or is it that you don't want to? For me, it was that I didn't want to. So I had to get over the fact of understanding that if you're self-employed, you have to spend some money. Now, the good news is in insurance, you don't have to spend much money, and you can play with the house's money. What I mean by that is I went out, I invested in leads. I went out, I made a sale. I invested that back in leads instead of fixing my house or getting a new car. And then I went out and made 2 sales. And then I took one of those sales and invested that back in leads. And then I had all the leads from the last 3 weeks I could still resolve. And then I started to make 3 sales. But I was reinvesting the sales that I was making, that money that I made, instead of buying stuff. And we had a friend that, I don't know if you remember, but you probably do. He went out and bought all new clothes, the first policy he had, and then he showed up, he had new shoes on, a whole new outfit, and then the person canceled, and he got a chargeback, and he was out of the business from that point in time. So my thinking was, why don't I invest in building a business, and then later I can do whatever I want. And I wasn't really interested in having a bunch of cool stuff anyways. I was more interested in just having time, like controlling my own schedule. That's what I was interested in. So I didn't buy a new car. And for a while, I did little things because I didn't have any money at first, or much money. Like I even would pack my lunch to save money so I could buy more leads. And I would I didn't have cable. I didn't listen to music for years. I just listened to trainings, learning what Sean was doing, learning where the company was going, getting obsessed for a few years to get this thing off the ground. But yeah, man, I think it's worth it. Delayed gratification and putting off something that you want, reinvesting it into building something that could be around for a long time. I think it's worth it.
Hey, Sean, question to kind of piggyback off what Andrew's saying, because I think there's so much value to that. Like, does that do something for somebody when they know that they're making these small sacrifices and they could be choosing to go buy this or do this, but they choose to go invest in their business? Does that do something as far as the choices they make, what they get back, like a harvest that they have? Like, is there something to that, like what they tell themselves, that identity that they get from that?
First of all, a couple things. I think, Paul, when you do things for other people, because when you're investing back in the business, a lot of times it's not necessarily for you immediately.
Right.
It's for the clients, it's for the agents you work with, it's for the staff you work with. So when you do that, I do think when you do that, it comes back around, right? But I also think, Paul, it's funny how when you play it safe, you tend to die eventually. Like, right? It's a slow death, but you never really know it. When you go all in, it's hard not to go all in with your work ethic when you go all in financially. Like, I had no choice to keep working. I don't mind working anyway. Working's easy. I don't like lazy people. I don't want to be lazy, and I don't want to. And if you're lazy, I don't want to talk to you, and I don't want you to convince me why you're lazy, because I think it's pathetic. And nowhere in the book does it say to be lazy. And this actually says it's pretty pathetic to be lazy. There's a lot of also consequences for being lazy. So for me, I think knowing that I was all in financially, I had no choice but to go to work. I had no choice but to make those sacrifices, like Andrew. I didn't go watch games because my money was all in. But a lot of us, we perpetuate the cycle. It's so funny because capitalism is like, I don't have the time, but one day I'm almost like, I'd love to teach people at a certain age the reality of capitalism. Like, truthfully, like understanding, why does it work? What does it require for it to work? What do the majority of people have to think about themselves? Like, how little they have to think about what they can actually accomplish. And then when they actually start making money, that they spend it and feed the economy instead of reinvesting in their own business and taking it. Because that's the whole concept. There's all these massively big businesses that want to suck, and that was always everybody's analogy, like, well, why did you get in the business? There's a lot of big people out there. And I do think you always need to know who the bigger bear is. That's the thing. I've been in business. I launched a waste management company thinking we were going to kill it, until I realized, where are we going to dump this stuff? And then I realized that they controlled the landfills, like 4 companies, and I didn't have control of one. And I couldn't dump unless they let me, and they charged me whatever they wanted to. And they literally, for all intents and purposes, made sure I could never make any money. And that was business. I wasn't mad. They did nothing wrong, but I didn't realize who the bigger bear was. In our business, you are the bear. It's you. There's hundreds of millions of people, millions of licensed life insurance agents. It's such a massive business that you, as a company, could do $1 billion, and it's not a big deal. Like, what we're doing now is not a big deal. We could literally 10x this thing, and it still wouldn't be that big a deal, to be honest with you. So I think it also allows you to stay pretty humble because you're pouring your money back in. But a lot of us are raised and watch people when they get $1, or like your friend did, buy clothes. Why not? That's what broke people do. I have money, buy clothes. I have money, book a 5-day vacation. I have money, let's not go to work. Let's not go to work today. I made money last week. Hey, let's go away for a week. Or let's not go away. Let's just stay at the house. But I'm not working today. I want to break that cycle. Everybody says they want to change, not everybody. A lot of people say, I want to change the financial destiny of my family because for generations we've not achieved above a certain income level. And they do the exact same crap that was modeled for them. And they can't believe it didn't change. They're like mind-boggled that it didn't change because you repeated the exact same behaviors. So I think it does a lot of things for you. Number one, what you're pouring into other people, absolutely. But number two, when you're all in, it's like, it's hard not to be. Now that you got, you take your kids, right? So you take Andrew's kids, and, I'm sitting outside Andrew's house, and I'm out by the pool, and I'm stumbling around, and you're throwing a football, Paul, and I dive and hit my head. Dude, it might take Andrew an hour to come check on me. Because, I'm a grown man. But let Atlas and AC get anywhere near the pool and watch his vigilance. Me, that was my money I put in, and that went from, at that time, Savannah and Trevor. So I put $1,000 in the business. That was $500 for my daughter, $500 for my son. Things that I could have been doing for them. Why would I ever not treat that then like life and death? Because that was my money. But a lot of people play it safe, don't get ahead. I'm just not trying to be mean, but they meet with accountants all the time. My accountant told me early on to stop spending so much money. Thank God I didn't listen to her. She's like, you invest way too much of your income back in. I was like, this is a small accounting office, and y'all have been doing this forever. And you don't seem to make a lot of money. No more business advice. I just need you to do my books, make sure the IRS doesn't bother me, and do the best you can for me as an individual and as a company. But no more business advice. A lot of people just take business advice from everybody. Somebody says something, they go, my attorney, early on, you need to stop doing A, B, and C. I was like, I'm not going to stop doing that. He said, well, that'd be my legal advice. I said, that's good legal advice. Good legal advice is don't leave your house. But I'm not doing that. So next thing you have to say to me, but we stop, and because our aunt says it, or our accountant from up the corner block, who's next to the, to the bar, has their own $400 a month office, and they go, oh, my accountant says spend so much money on leads. It's like, well, then go become an accountant. So I think a lot of it's fear. It's fear of the unknown. It's fear of change. It's bucking the system, right? And for me, I was like, whatever everybody did when I was growing up didn't work. I did the opposite. If my mom had made $2,000 in a week, she would have put it away somewhere. She would have never, ever, ever invested back into something. I was like, we were broke. I'm not doing that. Other people spend their time drinking, partying, going to games, watching this, my family. I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's got them broke too. I had other people that made some money but didn't do the right thing by people and weren't sowing those seeds, and they end up being broke. All I do is not do what they. I was like, I'm just not going to do that. Whatever they're doing. And I watched some successful people do things, and I'm like, I'm going to model that because he or she's been successful for a while. So, Paul, I think it's hard when those, we talk about skin in the game, skin in the game, skin in the game. And I always like to watch and see what people do for other people. What they'll do for themselves does not enamor me. What will they do for other people?
Hey, Sean, kind of like touching upon what Andrew said to have you tied in, like when he said, he asked the agent, is it you can't do it or you don't want to do it? Like, what do you think takes place where the agent that just didn't want to do it, right? They decide that they do want to do this thing, and they're not going to let a can't ever stop them from doing it, where they just make that shift and they decide to go out there and sacrifice and delay the gratification and do these things that are necessary. They sacrifice. What usually happens? What's that shift? What causes that?
Well, dude, at some point in time, they realize that it's like they're in a place in their life and they're frustrated, right? So if you're not frustrated, it's easy just to kind of continue to go do what you're doing, right? If you don't really talk about it, or if you're just really happy with where you're at. And that's the other thing. If you're happy, you're happy. But I think, Paul, that attitude comes from watching other people do it, number one. Because if I tell Andrew, if Sean Merriman walks in here and he sits in that seat, and I go, Andrew, we got to fight him. Andrew's like, I ain't fighting him. All right? And
I'm looking for what I'm going to hit him with in here.
No. And we have to for some reason, right? I'm just stay with me. And I jump out of my seat, leap in that fool's light, and start going at it with him. Now, we know how big and strong he is. He fights. We get all that. But all of a sudden, he don't know if I'm going to win, okay? But he's like, he went. He's still here. Like, now I can fight that battle because it seems insurmountable to him. That was the first time I met him. He's like, I spar with you. I'm like, do I want to spar with you? And he's like, I'm not sparring with you. I'm not going to spar you today. What's the worst thing that can happen? Even if I don't win or I get bumped around a lot, you'd be like, so what? You're big and you fight for a living, man. Congratulations. Look at this, bro, because I'm going to get some shots in. But all of a sudden, I empower him to feel better about what we're doing. So a lot of that comes from Andrew watches me invest in the business with no fear. After a while, he's like, dude, I can do it. I'm just not doing it. But Sean's putting all his money back in.
Yeah.
He comes to my, right? You see me doing it. You're like, he doesn't seem to be stupid. He's not running his mouth. That's what a lot of people do. They want you to invest and they don't. That's always my thing.
Your actions are taking other people's fear away from
100%.
them.
How could it not? But a lot of people, they don't want to be, and they want to tell you what to do. That's why some of the biggest managers and the biggest business builders are the ones that invest the most, because they're folks that work with them, watched it and went, that makes me not as afraid. He's alive. He's pouring money back in. He's doing what he has to do. Look, wow. And the key is when you inspire them after you have the result, that's not very inspiring. But along the way, when you don't have the result yet, but they believe enough in what you're doing, and they see you continue to do it over and over and over again. And that was my thing in business. I said, when I first decided to run any business when I was 20, I said, we are either going to make it big or go down in a blaze of glory. And that was every company. That was waste management company, real estate, property management, all the things I've done. And dude, we did. Some in a blaze of glory. That waste management company went down in a blaze of glory. People are like, you sold it. I'm like, no, I sold a couple dumpsters. I didn't sell nothing. I lost all kinds of money. But we went in. Like, we went all in. We had 2 dumpsters one day and 100. But I didn't know who the bigger bear was, and I didn't take a step back and get educated on the industry. I should have done that. I had 5 years in this business to be educated on what not to do, and that's why we're successful here. Had I jumped in this business day one and never been in the business and tried to launch a company, I'd have failed miserably. I got to see what not to do for 5 years. That's a pretty powerful lesson that I should have paid for. I did pay for, but the reality is I took from that. I was paying attention the entire time. Everybody else might have been joking around, laughing. I was watching what everybody was doing. Every conversation, every insurance carrier, every lead vendor, every guy and girl in charge, every disgruntled agent, every happy agent. Is it recognition? Is it money? What do we do here? How about the events? Everything, I'm like, what I would do differently. And I just filed it all in my mind. If we ran a company one day, I wouldn't do that. If we ran a company, I might do that. I sure as hell wouldn't do that. Hey, let me ask y'all, do you like that? That's how I did it. And I think if your actions empower people to do the same thing, then they'll go take the action. But I think that's the thing, Paul, is you get that crossroads in your life. You decide, if I don't change, nothing changes. And change sucks. Okay, got it. But the reality is, can you live in your situation? That's always asked people, are you cool? So I asked Mike Sizer 15 years ago, are you cool right now staying the same? He's like, absolutely not. I'm like, then what are you going to do about it? Because if we fast forward 10 years from now and you're in the same spot, how bad is it going to be? He's like, that would suck. I'm like, all right, then what are you going to do about it? Today, what are you going to do about it? And I was already doing it. I was already coming in early. I was already sleeping at the office at night. I was already working till 1 o'clock in the morning. I was there when he came back in at 7 a.m. I was already there. So you got to lead by example, bro.
Hey, I think as we wrap up, there's agents that might be doing the right example, but they're not visible. They're like a secret agent, and I think that the things that you're doing right, you want to make sure that it's exposed, that it's visible. And Andrew, I think you've done a phenomenal job at that with the organization. I mean, grown a massive group. When you're out there investing and giving back and pouring into, whether you're on the road, you've done a great job in like showing the example through visibility, like by different platforms. How have you done that? Like, what if somebody's out there doing the right things? How do they show to their team?
Well, this is what you got to know. Like, everybody that's been around Sean knows that he has this contagious, positive energy, and they'll leave and they'll be a little bit different. So anytime you're doing something good, it's contagious. Anytime you're doing something bad, it's also contagious. Anytime you're around people complaining, that's contagious. So what I try to do is everything I'm doing that's going to grow the company, share. Because somebody's going to see it and it's going to have a positive impact on them.
That's good.
And then go to a different level of this, and it's my job is to share good news. So there could be a million things going on now. If somebody calls me, I'm going to tell them about, how great this meeting was today that we did. And automatically start influencing them by just sharing good news to them. And I think that's a big role that's almost like my job is to keep sharing good news because it'll just impact people in a positive way.
Well, hey man, thank you so much, Sean. Thank you for joining, bro. This was great stuff. I hope you took a lot from this. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment below, and like Andrew said, just a simple share might make a difference to somebody that's out there. And if they hear this message, it kind of helps them go out there, makes tweaks, adjustments, makes them aware of one of the things that they could do differently to make this week better than last week. So guys, go out there, make it a massive week. Be strong, stay steadfast. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the lead giveaway. We're giving away $1,000 worth of leads this morning. So if you commented on last week's video, which is playing right here, you're automatically entered to win. So what are you doing? Comment down below right now for your chance to win next week. We're picking 4 winners. They're each going to win $250. So let's see who won this week. Our first winner for $250 in lead credits is Kirk Rodriguez. He says, "Thank you guys. I needed this badly. I need to keep looking forward and stay positive. I trust the process, but as a new agent, it is definitely tough. Thanks for the great info." Well, Kirk, I really hope that these leads that you're about to get help. Our second winner is William Pickens. Thanks for the good info. Our third winner is Luis Rodriguez. Thank you, Brandon. Reason why I'm in your office every week. I admire the bell out of your mentality and work ethic. Thank you for literally me be a part of your family. Let's grow this year. And Paul, thank you for amazing content as always. And our fourth and final winner is Esther Bochel. Bossel. You know how to pronounce it, Esther. Thank you for your time, Brandon. Grateful for this podcast. Always learning something new. There it is, guys. It is that simple to win $250 in leads to either kickstart your business, give it a little bit of a boost, or just have more leads, because you can never have too many leads. Winners, get in contact with Victoria. Her number is going to be up here. And if you won last week, I realized I put the wrong phone number last week. If you won last week, call this number, text this number, get in contact with Victoria, and she'll hook you up with the leads that you won. Other than that, we'll see you next time, guys. Leave a comment below so you're entered to win, and have a great week.